Welcome, and I'd like to introduce you to Tamzin and Lydia, who are joining me. And as you may know, they have both been featured in the KNOWER music video that was recently released. And this music video is also connected to meditation movement practice that we're offering through the Shakti Dance Academy. We'd like to meet today to have some feedback as we connect again after almost 2 months since we filmed this music video, to share our experience of how that went for us and how that's developed along the way. We got to get a feel for that celestial communication and the meaning of the mantra, and we'd like to share and discuss about that now. Happy to pass over to Lydia. Hey, Lydia. If you'd like to share a bit about your experience.
So with the inner knower celestial communication, well, first of all, I really loved the song when I first heard it. I thought it was really powerful. And then the more I listened to it, it was kind of weaving into me deeper and deeper. And then yeah, you sent us some videos to practice to, and it was actually quite difficult to watch the video and really get the transmission, but we all met on the morning before filming, and we had that period to really, or I think maybe it was the day before, and we really went in it together quite deeply. And yeah, the more we practiced it and it really dropped in, and especially the three of us being together, it just felt there was a really beautiful harmony, and there was just something that we were weaving that was so beautiful. And I find this in general with celestial communication, the more I do it, it just touches me on deeper and deeper levels. So yeah, once we'd got the moves down, which were to begin with, it was like, oh, what am I doing here? And I was kind of, forgetting. And then it just magically, we all just got it, and it just dropped in. And yeah, I love how with celestial communication in general, through the gesture, you really you really express on a much deeper level the theme and the meaning and the intention of the words you're singing or the mantra you're singing. So yeah, as we were doing these beautiful sweeping movements with the song, I'm doing them now, and they're just kind of coming through. Yeah, it's like the body gets the meaning, the psyche gets the meaning, the spirit gets the meaning on all levels. And it was just so delicious to do that with you two beautiful Shakti sisters. Yeah, it was really beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, it was for me such a magical experience to have you both. And it was, when I was thinking, who should I invite from UK to join me in this project? And you two both just popped in my mind. And I had a feeling that there would be this like really good synergy between us. And I think, the synergy that actually came about really exceeded my expectation. The quality of our movement together on the video is quite extraordinary. So thank you also for your grace that you have lent to this project. Tamzin, tell us a bit about your experience.
Yeah, so the experience of coming down, and it was quite a drive to get down from Cumbria. I live way up north, and yeah, the weeks building up to it, they were very interesting. And I've always been a bit shy on camera, and interestingly enough, I used to make music videos, and that was my path before Shakti dance. And then this time it was for me to be in front of the camera and not behind the camera. So it really there's been a opening. It's just been opening me up, and my self-confidence again is rising a bit more. And I think actually after COVID, my confidence had dipped back down. I used to be sharing more videos and things with Shakti dance, and so this was a real, whew, okay, now you've got to go meet your teacher trainer, and she's invited you to dance and move and hear her music and really share these 2 days that we had together for filming. It was very intense, and you do work as hard, and you are such a perfectionist in the way that you want to teach us and how to move, and we repeated it again and again. And as Lydia said, we just, once we'd all synchronized together in our little trio, that was it. We were all moving together, and it was difficult because I couldn't shut my eyes. I didn't know it that well, but yeah, when we were moving together, it was very special, and it just brought back all the memories of me from training and all the celestial communications that we practiced from training. And I don't seem to teach them that much anymore, only on occasion, mostly with children, but yeah, just to open that world back up for me again, and at a real point in which I need my inner knower. I'm at a real crossroads point in my life now, and it wasn't before the music video, it's come after, as well as cutting away dreadlocks and things like this. And yeah, I've had to go to the cliffs the other day and call upon my inner knower. And so what an absolute apt time that it is that I'm going to be sharing the celestial communication with you both and other ladies and whoever is going to come along and join us.
Yeah.
Magic.
It is magic, and something very magical happens. It's a kind of like a fractal field gets activated, and all of our wisdom is being brought online, lighting up, and it's, you know, being complemented by what's going on for the other people. And we begin to also go through experiences that are unique to each of us, but there are common themes that are running through. And what I've kind of been sensing with, certainly with Tamzin, maybe also with Lydia, is this moment of change and needing to really listen in as we move through to a next phase of our life. I'm in the process of moving house and changing a lot of things in the way I'm going to be relating to life, and as yet nothing has completely crystallized. So in that moment of transition where the edges are all kind of blurred, there is really this need to be safe at the axle, lodged safe at the axle. And I find in general that the celestial communications really give me, and those that I know who practice with me, this kind of auric bubble of sustenance, like a carriage that continues to carry us through the phases of life. And certainly I experienced that when we were working with the celestial communications during the COVID period. Yeah,
it really carried me through. I was looking back to remember which ones I'd done, and one was Jatis Bhava and Simran.
Simran, yeah.
Yeah, that one I didn't manage to do the 40 days, but the other one I did. And yeah, they really carried me through. And it seems at a sort of that axle, or that to have that axle. And then, yeah, with that moment of change where it's a crossroads, and I go a little bit frantic, and I'm like, oh my God, the doors have shut. I'm waiting for the next ones to open. And so it seems that a mantra comes strong, or some words come strong, and then the celestial communication had come in strong at different times where I really needed that anchor to really connect back in and hear, what is it that I need to hear? Where am I meant to move? Which direction am I meant to go? Yeah, it really help.
Yeah, I always find actually also that whatever you're dealing with, and sometimes we don't always know the answer, we can't always see, as you said, like what's behind the next door. And I often find when I just or when I remember to hand over to the mantra or the practice, it opens up something else that in my limited, finite self and ego mind, I can't see. And I have to remember to do that. And I find, especially with the celestial communication, I think because I'm just very physical as a being, so it makes sense for me to give it physical expression. When I hand it over in that way, it really does feel like that, like I am handing over through my body, through my sand. And it's just that deep knowing that it's taken care of. It's taken care of.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like this inner release where, you know, all that the mind is hoping for and expecting and trying to work out can just be put on hold, and we don't need to be chasing, to allow the field to kind of just process everything and then give us a prompt when we have to kind of engage to nudge things along. And having that sense of relaxation within ourselves to recognize, okay, now is the moment to relax, and now is the moment to respond, and to know the difference. And I think that's like a huge lesson for us all together in as humanity in this period of time, of switching our like location of identity. You know, what aspect of ourself are we identifying with? Are we identifying with this like mental personality, or are we identifying with a sense of self that goes well beyond the limits of the mind and the physical body, feeling that there is this deeper interwoven connection with the psyches of each other, you know, the in ever increasing circles, you know, the people that are closest to us, and then family and friends and people that we know, and collectively humanity and the planet, of course, because we're not separate from the planet. And that's another aspect of this celestial communication, having practiced that in nature, that there was also this very strong earthy connection, and also with the feminine energy of nature. And somehow, even though our roles are a bit fluid in this, it felt like we were representing the maiden and the mother and the crow, and these very kind of seasonal energies within that video.
I hadn't thought of it like that, but yeah, now you say it, it makes total sense. Yeah, and I think perhaps why there was that sense of harmony and synergy and completion. It was very well balanced between the three of us.
Had you thought about that before, Sarah, when you were?
I hadn't specifically, but there was that moment when we were changing, and and we were just like kind of checking it. Okay, so how old are you and how old are you? It was just this realization of, gosh, we are spanning, you know, over a generation here between us. And
you were sharing your tips of your face yoga and everything like this.
I was like,
it is,
you know, interesting, because there is a sense of timelessness I find in being with you both, but also a realization that, you know, there are different cycles of experience that we have within us that do bring us to different phases in our cycles, in our female cycles. So at the same time, that kind of those different experiences that we're bringing into these moments of sharing when we practice are very nurturing and enriching for each other, I find.
Yes, celestial communication for me is the embodiment of Shakti, because Shakti wants to move. And so for me, doing just a mantra, sitting still, I find it really difficult. So being able to move it is like, yeah, and give it that expression. The body just loves it. And yeah,
it's really accessible as well for all ages, because when if you're older and you're not so fluid in your spine, then you're sort of, that seated meditation can feel quite rigid, can't it?
yeah.
So I start to get
painful,
different
actually.
pains and things, and then I'm like, oh, I can't get into it because there's a niggle here and a pain. I'm like, oh. And so when I'm moving and repeating, yeah, it helps really get into it and lose your mind to it. And then it's just so accessible for all ages, as well as older young people I teach as well. So.
After the repetition, there is this like deep silence that then wells up. And it's easier to go into silence after having done this repetitive movement, because it's like it's harmonized your mind and your body. And in that state of harmonic resonance, it's then easier for the light of being just to shine through. And so it's a beautiful preparation for still meditation as well as actually being a meditation itself.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. And yeah, that so resonates. Yeah, I've got a very active mind. And so just sitting still is so difficult for me, but that peace and the stillness you get after celestial communication, there's nothing quite like it. It's like just everything just stops. And yeah, it's really beautiful.
And so many people have not experienced celestial communication before, like most of the Kundalini yoga world has. And, you know, we've touched upon that before, but other types of yoga don't always have this celestial communication. So it feels very new and a very new thing to be putting out there to people. But as what you've said earlier, it's also ancient and old. What you're visualizing with
the temple dancers. Yeah, dancing their prayers. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that when I create the celestial communication, that it's really an expression of this connection with spirit, like the soul currents that are coming through, and just giving spontaneous form and voice to that in a very coherent way. And so I find that it's really this connection that's coming through, and that when that comes through in an inspired moment, when afterwards, later on, when I'm perhaps not in that state or need to re-access the more subtle spirit realms, when I practice something that's come through in that moment, it reopens me to that space. And enables that flow to come through. And what I experience with people who practice the celestial communications with me is that the sequences, together with the music that I produce for the celestial communications, they have this effect also on other people, that by practicing that sequence to the mantra and the music, that it's like it's a key that will open up a particular space, a particular frequency of consciousness or a state of being, and that this then enables them to open up different aspects of their own being, and that then comes into flow for their own lives. And then, the people, of course, who go through the Shakti dance teacher trainings then get a taste of that and themselves come into creating their own celestial communications. And so it really activates the creativity of our own essence to come into play.
Yeah, creating our own celestial communications. That's really interesting. I've done that a few times. What movement resonates with, you know, this piece of poetry or this particular mantra? What movement resonates? What do I want to express when I hear that word? What does that word move like? Yeah, I like that.
And do you experience also that there are like certain moments when like the inspiration is just ripe to come through you, and something comes through, and then you kind of capture it in that sequence?
Yeah, or sometimes it's if I'm doing a mantra practice. Yeah, it's almost like a dam waiting to burst. When the movement comes through, it's just like inevitable, you know, just wants to have a gesture or an expression, and it shows me I'm not really choreographing it. It's just like, oh, this is what my body's doing. And it's in that flow, and when there's a whole room of people dancing together, and we've been dancing for, you know, like a good hour or so, and I'm completely unblocked, and that's when things really start to move through. And and I can, it's almost like I see in my inner eye, like it creates geometric shapes in the space. It creates a field. It's almost like I can't see it with my physical eyes, but I see it with my inner eye, and what it does.
We were painting it, how it would weave.
Yeah, and so on all levels, it weaves such magic. Yeah.
That's what happened on the music video. The amount of people that have said to me, you three look like a painting. And that's what we did. We painted it all, didn't we?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's really like this this tapestry from another level reveals itself, and it comes through this organic free movement. And it's very interesting to think of the movement as being a painting, because if you've ever actually tried to draw the celestial communication in its kind of three-dimensionality, it's really complex, actually. You know, because it's very similar to kind of Celtic knots. And when I've like tried to capture how these spirals work on a three-dimensional graph or something, it's so difficult to do. And even though, you know, after we get the knack of a movement, it might seem quite easy, there's nothing quite like moving the body in these geometrical spiral forms, which like really open up the flows of prana, the meridians in the arms and the torso. And also, you know, if we do it standing as well, as we did partly in the music video. We'd also like to invite others to join us in this practice. Lydia and Tamzin will also be practicing throughout this period, and every now and again docking in with the diaries that we'll be holding on the private group on the website. And so we would really like to inspire you to join us and to share in this magic and be nourished, and also contribute to this ever unfolding field. Yeah.
See what happens within the next 40 days.
Yeah, exactly.
See what doors open, see what the inner knower brings forward, and
that's right.
It's going to be interesting. It's already very intense times, so it's going to be interesting, and I think it's probably going to be one of the most powerful 40 days of celestial communication that I'm probably experienced for some time. And I've not seen the video yet of us doing it, so that'll be a first for us, won't it?
Yeah, practice video.
Yeah, the practice video.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And there will be a guidance video, of me breaking down exactly how to do the moves. So unlike Lydia and Tamzin, people won't have just like one evening where they have to catch it all.
You got the crash course.
Yeah, you got the crash course, but there will actually be a very clear breakdown of each of the movements for each of the lines, that people can keep coming back to. And usually it takes about a week for people to really catch it and embody it properly. And I have to also say that, you know, since I've been practicing it over the last few weeks, that and having taught it also at the level 2 this summer, that even my practice of it has slightly refined since we were doing it together. So there might be just some little details that are a little bit more honed, and you'll find that on the guidance videos. And I'll be also taking different themes from within the mantra, which is based on a Gurmukhi mantra from Guru Nanak, the second Pauri of the Japji. And this is an English translation, poetic translation to that. And so I'll be taking like different themes within that mantra and giving a discourse about them, sharing different insights and going deeper in the meaning to give more inspiration to sustain the group practice. Yeah, so thank you both very much for joining me. And I look forward to sharing this path further with you and seeing how things unfold over the next 40 days, where that brings us. And I'm really curious to see who else feels called to join us and to continue to weave this wonderful web together.
Yeah, it was really beautiful to connect with you two again, be it on screen. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to this 40 days and going through this gateway of the equinox through the practice, which is a really big one for me personally. But yeah, I think at the moment there's so much happening collectively that, yeah, I feel this is going to be a really potent time. So yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, actually, the theme of the equinox, the reason that I decided to start it on the equinox is because the equinox is also the moment where our intentions from the summer come to full fruition and drop from the tree. And so I'm seeing this as like, you know, this practice is the ripening of the intention that we set back in the summer. And so we'll be then eating from that fruit over the next 40 days.
Sounds good.
Lovely. I look forward to a grounding practice, and yeah, keep myself seated every night, a cup of tea, and join together. And yeah.
Oh, bless you. Thank you, Lydia. Thank you, Tamzin. And we'll be in touch. Blessings and lots of love.